my botch.
What does that mean? It's Rusev Day!
Weird question, is Golddust a Cruiserweight? Weird question, is Nia Jax a Cruiserweight?
No.
This is the best pro wrestling podcast where none of us are cruiserweights, but we will be talking about the cruiserweights and the rest of the best pro wrestling in the world. My name is Tommy Stryker. Joining me is Taco.
What up?
Joe is here as well.
What is up?
And we got a lot to talk about this week. We usually talk about NXT on this show, but NXT was like a best of 2-hour special this week, so we didn't watch that yet, but we'll take some notes of it and we'll get into it on next week's show for sure. But we got to talk about Raw. We got to talk about Smackdown. We got to talk about the latest Cruiserweight.
Weird question, is Golddust a Cruiserweight?
So, if you're new to the show, thanks for checking out the show. Again, we do like to have some fun. We like to play fun sound bites. We like to look at wrestling in a positive way. We like to talk about what we like, not be too negative, but once in a while we'll mix in a little negativity. Of course, it's a fucking wrestling podcast. What do you expect? So, of course, we're going to be critical from time to time. But if you are new and you're not familiar with why, the sound
Fuck
bite.
Ty Dillinger. No, I'm just kidding.
The soundbite I just played of Joe was actually a mashup from an old soundbite that this one here is from like a year ago.
Weird question, is Jinder Mahal a Cruiserweight?
So that's funny in and of itself, knowing what Jinder Mahal has accomplished in the last year. But regarding this past week with Golddust showing up on 205 Live, I thought it would be fun to edit in.
Weird question, is Golddust a Cruiserweight?
So we'll be playing the hell out of that this show. So just in case you're sick of that already, look forward to a little bit more of that, of course. But typically on the show, we start off talking a little bit of the news, so let's get right into it.
Pro wrestling news.
We have quite a bit of news for you.
News.
So technically not really news yet, but it's kind of been rumblings on the internet that a big opponent will not necessarily be named, but you will kind of know where they're going come the 25th anniversary of Raw in a couple of weeks. So, of course, everybody's been speculating who is it going to be, who's going to be returning to face John Cena. Of course, we do have the news that John Cena entered himself into the Royal Rumble, so they obviously can't announce what the actual opponent will be on the 25th, but I think it will be something that will be made obvious that that will be a feud going forward into WrestleMania. So the internet has been screaming all week about who the potential opponents could be. Of course, the big speculation being The Undertaker kind of being the number one thing because The Undertaker is supposed to be on the show. Everybody's up in arms. He retired last year, left the gear in the ring. What are your guys' thoughts?
Joe?
I kind of just left it there. Like, I want to leave it there. I don't want to have this, let's say Ric Flair situation. I'm retired. I'm not retired. I'm retired. I'm not retired. Like, I don't want to see that with Taker. I want to leave on that note. I mean,
well, he's been teasing retiring for like 20 years now.
Exactly, which is the problem which is half the problem in itself. But I want to leave it there. I don't want to. I don't need another.
Right. I mean, it really felt like closure with him taking off the gloves and the hat and the jacket and leaving it in the ring. I mean, yeah, it was a match against Roman Reigns that didn't blow the doors off of anybody, but
I mean, like it's not gonna devastate me. Honestly, if he were to come back, it's Undertaker versus John Cena, but
what if he comes to the ring on Raw 25th anniversary, but before he comes to the ring, there's the gear in the ring, the hat, the jacket, the gloves, all that, it's sitting there in the ring. He makes his big entrance, comes out, puts all this shit back on.
No. The stuff's in the middle of the ring, and he just rises from the ring into his gear.
Well, you're exactly right.
You guys are awesome writers. I would watch that.
So those are some possibilities. I don't feel it. I just don't. I mean, yeah, it's been an opponent that Cena has wanted for the past couple of years, but it doesn't feel like that's a possibility right now.
It's not needed for either men in any sense. Like John Cena, win, lose, or draw, you fought Undertaker. Win, lose, or draw, you fought John Cena. At least Roman Reigns pinning Undertaker last year, those boos the next night were worth it.
And it would feel like Undertaker going out on his own terms if he decided, I'm going to come back and do one more match with John Cena because I want to retire versus John Cena instead of Roman Reigns, which is certainly a possibility because it felt like last year was Vince McMahon saying, we're putting Roman Reigns over. He's going to be the second guy to ever defeat the Undertaker at WrestleMania. And oh, by the way, Undertaker, you're going to leave your shit in the ring and retire.
But then we had that stupid ass fucking John Cena proposal at WrestleMania. It's like you could have easily done that last year and did the Reigns shit this year. Like, I don't know. It's just marketing wise, cool for the kids, but other than that, I don't love you, Taker, but.
So, again, the rumor is it's going to be a big opponent for Cena at WrestleMania. Somebody, marquee worthy.
Ooh, Tatanka!
But some other rumors out there. Batista has been teasing the idea of coming back and doing...
He wants full time.
Right, he wants to come back and do house shows, do TV every week, not the Brock Lesnar schedule. He wants to come back and work full time. So, that's a possibility. But what do you think of Blue Tista coming back?
No. I'm good.
I dog on the dude so fucking much. He's always been that silly musclehead motherfucker, but he loves it, man. And I hope the rumors are true. Like when he first left the WWE and he was demanding stupid amounts of money for an MMA fight. When it's like, dude, you haven't even had one MMA fight. It's like, believe in yourself 100%, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be where he's at. Like The Rock, always believe in yourself. I wouldn't mind another run with him, I know the word on the dirt sheets were, he came back for a title run and shit for his last run and everything. And no, it ended up being the Daniel Bryan story.
Well, they wanted to go with Batista, but remember that Batista won the frickin' Royal Rumble that year?
He did, but
why?
Well, hold on here. I want to talk about that run for a minute because when he came back, I really wanted to get into it, but I felt like he wasn't up to speed on what actual storylines were, and like when he was told to go out there and hug the Authority, that was like what killed that run. Was like, he's a piece of shit that's siding with the Authority, and the entire fan base was on Daniel Bryan's side and against anything Authority. And the second he did that ruined that run.
I think he saw that though, and they ran with it because it was the right thing to do and it was the right story to tell. Like it's part of the business. Like it really is.
I disagree. I think they wanted him to come back. I think they wanted it to be a big deal.
They did. No, 100%.
And they wanted him to be a babyface, but then he went out there and hugged the Authority, and it was instantly, oh, fuck this guy. He's here to take Daniel Bryan's spot. And then when they had them win the Royal Rumble, the crowd just turned on everything. We had the crowd, the quote-unquote takeover of Raw or whatever, which that was a scripted thing, but they had to change their plans for WrestleMania because the crowd was just hijacking these shows and was so behind Daniel Bryan. They didn't want Daniel Bryan with the Wyatts. They wanted Daniel Bryan in the goddamn main event of WrestleMania, and it forced them to change their plans, and it really threw it. I mean, because think about it. They had Batista win the Royal Rumble, but then they had to have Daniel Bryan beat Triple H so they could go to the quote-unquote main event.
I liked that, though.
No, I liked it, but it was just it was not good storytelling because it was just like, what are we doing?
And what is WWE?
Why is Daniel Bryan in this? So again, I wanted to see a good run out of Batista last time, but I think they botched it. They corrected course on the Daniel Bryan story, but I think if Batista came back and did it right, I think he could be a great heel or babyface. But I think Batista needs to be aware of how the crowds are reacting now, and not.
Or he just needs to come in and be Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. That motherfucker would be so over.
A couple other ideas for possible Cena opponents. Of course, The Rock. We haven't seen him in a while yet. We would wrap up a nice wrap up on that storyline. Of course, everybody's got to speculate. The internet has to scream, when is Stone Cold going to make that final comeback? I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, a couple of years ago, that was all people would talk about was when is Stone Cold going to come back, and he put those rumors to bed. He would say definitely, like on his pod, I'm not making a comeback. I'm not doing it. I would have to, but it's been quiet on that front for a long time, and what a great time.
The biggest Stone Cold talk though was with Punk though.
Right.
Like, that was always the talk with Stone Cold was him and Punk.
But him and Cena, how big would that be?
It'd be fun,
that'd be the talk of the fucking United States. That would you talk about moving a needle. Whether I don't think it's going to happen, just based on how Stone Cold has just vehemently said, "I'm not coming back. Just fucking drop it." You're going to drop me on my stack of dimes that I call a neck?
Right.
Hell no. So I don't see that happening. But wow, it would really be huge. Any other names kind of pop into your guys' heads as possible big time opponents for Cena at WrestleMania?
Stinsky.
Is Chris Jericho on tour with Fozzy that week?
Keep on sucking.
And there's this one.
No, you fool!
All right. Other news, we had the Paige injury on a house show last week, kind of an ugly situation. I was talking with some people online about this. And after seeing the video and thinking about it quite a bit, I think it was a bad decision on everybody's part. Obviously, it was a spot that was planned. Sasha Banks kicking Paige in the shoulders, just as a spot in the match. But it looked like Paige wasn't ready for it. She took the bump and all of that. But then, obviously that's where they ended up stopping the match because whatever the injury was. Now, Paige ended up being fine. She was out at the bar later that night. They kept her off the rest of that the house shows for the rest of the week. Wasn't on Raw with the rest of Absolution. Well, none of Absolution were on Raw this week, but she's still advertised for the Women's Royal Rumble at this point. But getting back to what my original point was, I think it was a dumb spot on everybody's part. Paige on agreeing to getting kicked in the back on a move where, again, it's hard to gauge because you can't see it coming. And then, again, Sasha for doing the move, knowing that Paige has a history of the neck issues. But again, if neck issues are going to be a thing, maybe you shouldn't be in the ring, I don't know, taking bumps on your shoulders. Because, that's where she got kicked, was in her shoulders with her arms outstretched as in the same position that you would take a bump in. So I think the move was a bad idea to do, but at the same time, maybe Paige needs to reevaluate. Maybe she's not healthy enough to be in the ring yet. Who knows? Maybe it was just a fluke thing, and she's fine, and she'll be ready to come back next week.
I think she's an emotional girl. Clearly, I don't mean that in negative aspect at all. And when something like that happens, it was probably like she got a stinger, that kind of feeling or something. Could be. Her career was probably flashing before her eyes at a fucking house show.
Right. And if it happens at a house show, go ahead and stop the match.
Exactly. That's probably why she was bawling in the ring. It's just like I hate to say it that way. She that's the only way to say it though. She is emotional. Everything was probably flashing before her fucking eyes as everything is starting to go smoothly once again. She just overcame, this Del Rio shit's finally out of the news. This, the sex videos are finally out of the fucking people's minds. The crowd, has been great when it's come to her, out in front of the crowd, and the response, nothing weird has been crowd-wise, and, people thought they were going to be disrespectful or chant something stupid at her, and that hasn't been the case, which has been nice. So, I hope they're just, taking it easy on her, and, it's part of the job, though, is you're going to be taking those bumps, and either you're going to roll with it and, make it part of the match or whatever, or you got to go home.
Absolutely.
Enzo is out sick with the flu. He was supposed to defend the Cruiserweight Championship this week. That did not happen. Nia Jax had to bring him some noodle soup. And she was not there to help Alexa Bliss on Raw. So he's been pulled from the mixed match challenge that's going to be taking place a couple of weeks, starting in a couple of weeks on Facebook, of all places. So it has been announced that Alexa Bliss is going to team with Braun Strowman. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that Enzo and Nia Jax teaming up, which is really too bad, because it would have been nice to see those two.
Weird question: is Nia Jax a cruiserweight?
But, and also with the other team, another team's been named now. Bobby Roode teaming up with Charlotte, which is a bit of an odd combination there.
They both wear robes.
There you go. And then it's been announced that Beth Phoenix is going to come back for commentary for the mixed match challenge. Say that one 10 times fast. I'm hoping that Beth Phoenix makes a surprise appearance in the Women's Royal Rumble.
Me as well.
She's been working out.
She was one of my favorites back in the
before it leaves my mind though. I wish I remembered where it was reported. It could have been made up, But apparently,
fake news.
Apparently, Enzo tried to leave the hospital, went back to the arena, and wanted to wrestle that night. And they sent him home. Like, no, you're not wrestling. You're fucking sick. Get out of here.
Okay.
So I hope this is a new leaf on Enzo's page. Like, that's what I'm trying. I just want to throw some positivity on that dude because if that's the case, he's getting the Miz treatment right now. He's fucking changing around in the corner, in a broom closet right now. He legit is. So even though he's a cruiserweight champ, so it's like you're paying your dues, man. And look at the Miz level right now.
Him missing time for being sick, that's like a big WWE no too.
Yeah, so if they're sending him away and he's trying to still go out there and fight, even if it's a tag match, I hope that's true because that's good character on him.
All right,
I just want to go back to the Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, no, that's what I was like. Let's not leave that though.
I think Beth Phoenix.
What else?
I don't think not saying that she didn't appreciate it, but I don't think she knew how much people actually kind of appreciated her.
Sure,
watching just the WWE Hall of Fame speech that she gave when she came out and people are just screaming one more match at her. She literally looked like she was overcome. Like she's like, I didn't know you people cared that much about me and that I was this big. So like, I feel like that's kind of pushed her. So we could see her in the Royal Rumble, and then also I think she'll actually surprise on commentary because I've actually listened to her on Edge and Christian's podcast a couple times now. She seems to be able to handle herself, so I'm hoping that'll translate into the Facebook.
She's not like our dumbasses stumbling all over each other on the microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like I gotta agree with that though, 100%. Like I'm someone like I kind of look at Beth Phoenix. She's a remarkable athlete. She's great in the ring, but I honestly don't think she should have been inducted in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's nothing that really stuck out to me in her career. Like the women she was wrestling, it was neat, but I honestly wish she was like around with the ladies that are out there wrestling nowadays. Like just seeing her with that Divas title is a joke. Like it was so embarrassing, and she's like I don't like she is Hall of Fame worthy. Like it's weird to me that she is because
she had better opponents at the time, is what you're saying.
I do. Like I wish she had more of a remarkable career to drool over instead of being like, oh, she's the only good option out of all these.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to take anything away from her. She deserves everything, and I hope she does come back and tears it up with these chicks because that's that's what she needs. That's what it's going to make her shine, these stars shine, and I would love to see that story and get some real fucking Beth Phoenix highlight reels, the kind of situations.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, I couldn't name a great fucking Beth Phoenix match. You threw a Melina one at me before, but it
wasn't an amazing match, but the finish was well worth it because someone had pointed out that she had hit Eve Torres with her finisher. I don't remember what it's called for the life of me, off the top rope, but it's just basically, she lifts her with the back, her arms to the back and just slams her on her face, but she hits Eve Torres with this from the top rope, and it's just fuck. There wasn't women doing that during that era. Just Beth Phoenix. She was the second woman to enter the Royal Rumble, right behind Chyna. Like again, she didn't know, so I'm just excited. Like you said, there's so many. There's a lot of women. Like does anybody know, is Karma or Awesome Kong still wrestling?
I don't.
And or Karma.
So
I think she was having injury issues.
Well, she just on that fucking news, gonna sidebar. I just watched that Glow show on Netflix. Fucking
fun stuff.
Awesome show. Like
the show or the documentary?
Both. Okay. That's what I'm getting to. Like I just watched the show. My girlfriend watched it with me, and she loved it. So if you have a girl, lady friend out there, whatever, that not big into wrestling, give this a shot. It gave a good perspective into wrestling that people don't really see too often. I mean, it wasn't, this one had the directors and the producers, obviously, in your face with casting models. Nothing's changed.
Hey, now, spoiler alert on a 6-month-old Netflix show. Come on now.
Yeah, seriously, talk.
We're very topical here on the show.
but Karma was in that. She did fucking great. I thought she was such a great character on that show, and a lot of wrestlers were involved with that show, and it brought me to the Glow documentary that I got to watch too, and everything. And that Mount Fiji lady, she just passed away, today. Oddly,
I've got that in the notes here.
So that was a big bummer there. Just after watching that documentary,
only 60 years old too.
She was a big girl though. Yeah. I know that in documentary, her goal was to walk again, and that documentary is good already 4 or 5 years old. So so it's I'm glad she got to reunite with her ladies and everything, and like I you know how the 80s were, guys were a little bit more piggish than they are nowadays. So
absolutely,
and cocaine.
For all those ladies to stick together with kind of some piggish guys like that, and still be able to look like the guy in the face in the documentary and everything. You could tell some of them had their beef with them, and they never said what or anything happened. But it was, especially with the women's revolution right now, it was good to see that aspect of it, because it really did empower these ladies.
All right, other news wanted to get into. The Ring of Honor debuted new championship belts, not only at Final Battle with the championship, and they debuted the
ladies,
the women's championship. They're going to have a tournament for that. But this week they announced also new 6-man championships, a new
that seems like a waste.
new tag team championships, and of course the new television championship. I love the new television championship belt. It's so much better than the current one.
I don't like it.
I don't like the current one at all. So
the current one looks like almost NWA 80s kind of style.
It reminds me when you go to when you go to like one of the zoo, and you want like the brontosaurus printed in the penny, so you squish the penny and get the brontosaurus, put it in there, like it reminds me of that.
Machine,
you crank that little fucking machine for like $2.
Oh man.
So that was cool. We got the new belts, and then finally wanted to talk about obviously not obviously, but we are recording this on Wednesday, the night before WrestleKingdom. So by the time this drops, most the WrestleKingdom will be available to watch. So, but no worries, no WrestleKingdom spoilers here on today's show, because we're recording it before it happened. But we had the news that came out earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday. Jericho. It kind of came off as a little bit clickbait, saying Jericho dedicates his WrestleKingdom 12 match to Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, which is a little misleading. He liked some fan art, put it on, I believe it was Instagram, and said that he's dedicating the WrestleKingdom match to his fallen brothers. Which I like, actually.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We talked about Chris Benoit a little bit on our other podcast that we do for the fans podcast called Wrestler 3-Wind. A conversation about Benoit came up, and I wanted to talk about it here, because I think obviously the Benoit tragedy is in fact a tragedy. Anytime somebody kills their wife and child, God, it's disgusting, and they should be appropriately. They should not be glorified in their career.
I'm not mad when I'm watching a Raw from 2002 and it's like Kane versus, and you're like, wait, who's he fighting? And then you go to that's Benoit. Makes sense.
But I think it's important to talk about not necessarily the career of Benoit, because it was what it was, and it certainly influenced today's wrestling. Obviously, he was one of those cruiserweights from WCW that changed what wrestling is today. But I don't want to glorify his career. But what I want to talk about is the fact that mental illness is what contributed for the most part into why what happened, why he snapped, why he killed himself and his family, and that if things had gone differently, if people would have intervened, maybe he would still be alive today, along with, of course, his family, which would be obviously great. But it was that cocktail of depression and alcohol and drugs and years of trauma to the head that that caused that awful tragedy. But I think it's, like I said, it's important to not enough people talk about that. Mental illness is something that can be cured and can be addressed, and it wasn't in this case. And obviously, with Benoit being a guy that kept things tight to the vest, and obviously he didn't have all of his problems out there for the world to see, it would have been difficult for. I'm certainly not blaming a guy like Chris Jericho or any of Benoit's friends for not stepping in, because they probably didn't know. They did not. They were surprised. They didn't see this side of Benoit.
Right.
But I think especially now in 2017, that mental illness does not have the same stigma that it did back in the day. Oh, he's fucking crazy. People don't say that as much now. I mean, people do, but I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I absolutely get it. It's just, it's a completely different time. What happened with him,
and I'm not trying
completely changed the industry when it comes to that kind of stuff. Again, people are looking out for each other. It's okay to be like, hey man, are you okay? He's acting kind of funny, like we should really look into this. It's not a bad thing to question anymore.
Right.
So
and by no means am I trying to justify glorifying the guy's career.
Zero.
I'm not. No, I'm trying to look at it as.
But you can't just let it go.
It's clearly something big, and fortunately we were able to study his brain to learn a little bit from it and kind of continue on to like Dave Mirra's brain was just that bad too, and he fortunately he didn't do anything that horrific, but it's obviously there's how can we protect the brains from getting this damage and getting these depressed moods and having these mood swings and whatnot, because that's also a factor, is a damaged brain. You ain't fixing that.
Yeah. Well, let's get out of this sick mood, this gross mood.
I'm excited for Jericho and fucking Tokyo Dome.
Yes.
Fuck
awesome.
Yes.
So, obviously, I just said it. By the time you listen to this, you can watch the Tokyo Dome. You can watch WrestleKingdom. NJPWWorld.com is where you do it. English commentary, Japanese commentary, whatever you're into. Awesome card that's going to be there. You can watch it on Access TV this weekend. Jericho versus Kenny Omega for the IWGP US title.
The website confuses you. Click series. English up top, click series. That's where all the events are. Yep. I notice a lot of people are having such a hard time working their way through the website. They're going in the video section, and it's just highlights and series. So
there you go.
Under series.
But once you get in there, it's pretty easy to navigate.
Easy.
You can find the big stuff's going to be towards the top.
It's a downside. You can't go through like, I want to go through 2005, or I don't know if you want 2005 New Japan, but it sucks. You can't choose a year and then go through the matches that way. It's all just in chronological order, basically.
So again, last week we did a full preview and talked about it in a way that new fans could follow along on our other podcast, Strong Honor. You can find that on this feed as well as its own Strong Honor feed to check that out. The last 2 weeks we talked a lot of WrestleKingdom, talked about that with the Married Marks a couple of weeks back, talked about Final Battle, so check those out over on Strong Honor. Really looking forward to that, very excited, so we'll be talking about that next week and going forward all 2018. But right now, let's change the subject and get into Monday Night Raw from this week.
Change the subject. Monday Night Raw!
So this week's Raw revolved around the Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe storyline, the rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. This time, if Roman Reigns gets disqualified, he would lose the IC title to Samoa Joe. I've really enjoyed this Samoa Joe Roman Reigns feud throughout the entire
Since day
year.
one.
Yeah.
It keeps you interested. Again, like they keep changing whether it be the stipulation or who's sneaking attacking who. I mean, they've kept you interested in the story, and I'm sorry, just Samoa Joe fucking kills it on the mic.
Oh, dude,
Yes.
It's believable when Roman wants, the babyface wants to go off and beat the shit out of fucking Samoa Joe because he just took out your boy and he's taunting him through his wife. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I just love the whole thing.
In fact, what you and the rest of the world need to realize is that I own Roman Reigns. I've mentally broken Roman Reigns. I've exposed Roman Reigns. And because of me, the Shield will never be champions together. Because of me, Dean Ambrose is now a stay-at-home husband living off his wife's paycheck.
The look on Renee's face.
And because of me, Roman Reigns has become the type of champion who gets himself disqualified to preserve his title. And thanks to me, tonight he does not have that option. In fact, Roman Reigns has run out of options. He's run out of friends and he's run out of time. Because when I put him to sleep and I become the new Intercontinental Champion, he will understand that it may be his yard, but he lives in my world.
Double yup.
So, yeah, really great promo. Got me pumped up for the match.
Get those anymore. The emotion, the vibe,
That was just
it's just you just felt it in the atmosphere.
We don't get an Ultimate Warrior style. Just
I don't know if we want that, but Joe dominates the match. Late in the match, Reigns just like, "Come on, motherfucker, hit me!" I just love that fire. You don't see that fire from Roman enough, and just that classic moment of the two. It was almost like watching a New Japan match. Late in the match, they're just going back and forth, hitting each other with forearms. Come on, motherfucker!
Yeah,
so,
big guy.
Bring it.
I just enjoyed that part of the match. I like after Roman Reigns finally hits the spear and wins, he's happy. He's like, yeah, he kisses the fucking belt. He celebrates. He holds the belt up to the crowd. The crowd's into it. Let's talk about this Roman Reigns factor that's going on right now and the crowd being into him finally. I think it's a couple of different things going on. One, I think it's that he's in the IC title picture, number one. But two, I think it's a lack of wanting somebody else in a top spot. There's no Daniel Bryan to get in the way. Finn Balor, you can make an argument for him, but he's been defined down. He's lost a couple. He lost clean to Kane. He's teaming up with the club guys now, which is another story we'll get into talking about Raw. But he does not feel on that main event level.
I think with Balor though, like he came in with like good steam, not great steam, but like really good steam off of NXT. Got like thrown right into the title picture, so I was like, "Oh, this guy's fucking awesome," to the main audience.
And he hasn't been back in that
and
title.
And then he got
picture.
injured, and it's just. It happens, and you got to rebuild yourself. It's going to take time.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody wanted him to get the big push coming back from injury. He didn't get it, and now I think the fans are okay with kind of where he is, and so the fans aren't clamoring. Like I think the big headwind that Roman faced was being forced down fans' throats. Fans wanted Daniel Bryan, they wanted somebody else, and they were forcing Roman on us. But now it doesn't feel as forced because number one, he's in the IC picture, and there's no clear. Number two, there's no clear, oh my God, we want this guy. Yeah, you got Braun Strowman, who's popular. You got Brock Lesnar, who is the champion. But I keep hearing people that are more and more sour on Brock Lesnar. They want somebody who's around more, someone that has better matches. Even though I like Brock Lesnar matches, I like the mystique of them. But there's definitely a part of the fan base that's like, fuck Brock Lesnar.
Well, the thing with Lesnar and the championship, though, is like, it hurts because it's like... You had Kevin Owens with the Universal Championship and had a good reign with it, and then went to Goldberg, who had a cup of coffee with it, and then went to Lesnar, who's never around. So it was like good all year, basically. We never saw that championship, and it's a brand new championship we need to see on air. So that kind of hurt a little bit. Like, I'm A-okay with the MMA fighter, Brock Lesnar, being that prize attraction to defend that championship. That makes sense for that kind of guy.
Oh, I was waiting until he was done.
Oh, yeah, it's just, like, I think the Goldberg having that title run kind of hurt the Lesnar image a little bit, but I think people are a little bit more accepting with the Lesnar situation too now.
And I think by now, even though it was just last year, I think largely the fans kind of forgot and realized what the Goldberg thing was. It's, we're going to give him the title and give him one quick run with it, and then Lesnar's going to win it back. And there is something to be said about that, because maybe Lesnar did lose some mystique to those fans that are critical of him, because there's definitely a side of the fan base that's like, fuck this Brock Lesnar guy. So I just wanted to kind of address that. Did you have something?
I was going to bring it back to Roman because you were going on your points. I want to make a third point and say, look at the quality of match that we were given from Roman starting from January of last year to the end of the year. He's been putting on better matches, more physical matches.
Yes, sir.
Where he seems like he cares. Like you said, we got our typical, Roman not selling even for a fucking headlock at the beginning of the year, and then listen to us now. We're loving the feud with Joe. He's putting on great matches. He's the angry baby face when he needs to be, and like you said, the crowd is finally getting the idea on him. As long as he's not for that heavyweight title.
This Shield situation totally helped win the crowd over too on that. That was just perfect timing, and he I don't want to say there's less pressure on Roman Reigns right now. I think it's about the same. It's just you can tell he's having more fun with it now, and I think stuff with like that Corey Graves interview he did. I think that doing stuff like that helps a lot too.
I haven't watched that. I gotta watch that.
It was really good because it's like with him saying like my goal's not to to be the best. He's like, I want the company to be the best. I want to do what's best to further this company. And like him kind of saying it was like, I got the vibe that yeah, he's true. He's like, I don't give a fuck what's going on with me. Like, I just want it to be fun and make sure it's the best and move shit forward, basically. And, it's like, yeah, when you get that Roman Reigns, you get a good Roman Reigns. You get, decent matches out of him, solid matches, good promos, someone who's interesting, not just Michael Cole screaming, the big dog for months on end, which he still is, but... I even loved it when he was being booed out the building. Like that was kind of the fun of it, and they just found a good sweet spot to finally win him over. And WWE just released like their top 10 photos on Instagram, whatever, like most and most of them are Roman Reigns. But
well, of course they are. They wouldn't release them if they
right. But that's the thing, though. It's just like
probably all they put on Instagram is
that's
Roman
the
Reigns.
business. Whether you're being it's like it's the only job you want to be booed at. Because that means you're getting eyes on you. You're getting the people's attention. And, he's always had that. Whether it's boos or cheers, he has it.
Well, I'm a big believer in he should get the reaction that you intend. I'm not. I don't buy into the WWE. Any reaction is good reaction. But
it's so confusing, though, nowadays for WWE. I mean, Christ, look at fucking Smackdown. It's like I want to cheer for fucking Sammy KO, but even though Shane McMahon's right. Like, that's just like, it's such a weird situation where it's just like it's almost fun to cheer the heels and boo the faces nowadays. Like the faces are almost the heels.
Well, we'll get to SmackDown, but it helps when your heels are wrong. But when your heels are right and make sense, it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to cheer for that. But they corrected course, and they're sticking to the guns on Daniel Bryan turning heel. But we'll get to that shortly here. I want to go back to the promos building up this Roman Reigns match here. I liked Roman telling Seth, fuck that Samoa Joe guy. He wants to run his mouth and all this and da-da-da. And then Jason Jordan interrupting, talking about, hey, we got your back if the bar interrupts.
You saw what I did last week. And he's still running his mouth. Who does that? He's a joke. He's a joke to me. And tonight I hope Dean Ambrose is watching. I hope he's watching. I hope the whole world is watching what I do. Because there's a few things you do in this world, but you do not mess with our brother.
If the bar tries to interfere in your match tonight with Joe, we will take them out. Believe that.
So let's shift gears. Talk about
the tone of voice is off.
I popped so hard when he just fucking slid in there. Like, who the fuck is this guy? It's like, yeah, no, it's all good, big dog. We got you. Believe that. I was just like, that's funny. And so it's funny because the psychology of the match that he had with. Who did he wrestle? He wrestled Cesaro. I thought the psychology was weird in that because, to me, it's obvious that Jordan is supposed to be a bad guy, a heel. But in the match, it was Cesaro being the bad guy, working Jason Jordan over. We're supposed to get the sympathy for Jason Jordan getting worked over. He makes the big comeback where everybody's supposed to cheer and everybody's like, meh. So I thought the psychology of that match was off, but I thought
he's always played that role of the babyface in the ring, though, even though he's coming across as a pompous dick.
But are we worried that they're going to shift gears away from turning him heel and just run away with him being babyface? Because I think that would be a bad idea because he's such a good fucking heel. But I don't think that's the case because just the way they booked him to slide in and interrupt that Roman Reigns conversation was brilliant and funny, and heelish at the same time.
It's going to work out, though, because they set themselves up in a position where Jordan's going to fuck over Reigns and get that heel. That's going to be the final, tip over to make him that heel. So, I think they made a good move.
I wanted to mention, should have probably popped this in with the news, but whatever, we're talking Raw. I liked Angle coming out at the beginning of the show and talking about how the Women's Royal Rumble will indeed be 30 women, just like the men's. They
over the top
rope. They talked about all of that. The only thing they didn't bring up was the time interval between entrants coming out, which I hope it's still this. I hope it remains the same between the two. Although WWE is famous for working the times, so they don't stick to the if it's supposed to be a minute and a half or if it's supposed to be 2 minutes. It's not. They decide whenever it feels convenient. So there's that. So I guess that part doesn't really matter because they quote work that
just
anyway.
have to ruin the mystique of everything, don't you,
dude? I was the dork that sat there with a timer last year and timed it, and I was just I don't know why do I do this to myself?
I feel like you realize I'm going to do that now.
Don't. You're ruining the enjoyment if you sit there with a timer. Just let
I don't
it
know.
be.
I kind of enjoyed timing the entrances of that 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. Getting 26 minutes of just entrance times. It's just like...
I recommend everyone just play a drinking game during the Royal Rumble. Take a drink during every entrance, elimination, and finisher. You're going to have a fun night.
Yeah, when you die.
Especially when there's 2 Royal Rumble matches.
Oh, yeah. Not take a shot.
My botch.
Other stuff from Raw. We only had the one women's segment.
Drink responsibly.
We had Alexa Bliss versus Asuka, non-title match. I thought they did a nice job building up to this with, of course, Nia wanting to leave to go take care of Enzo in the hospital with the chicken soup. So I liked that. I thought this was a decent match between these two. Although, again, they gave it some time. It was Alexa Bliss being the chicken shit heel, but again, getting some stuff in on Asuka. But in the end, of course, losing to Asuka, tapping out to the armbar, which I thought was very appropriate because obviously with Alexa Bliss playing the chicken shit heel. Watching this match, it made me wonder, because Bliss has been portrayed as such a chicken shit, it just makes me wonder what she would be like as a babyface if she could kind of hang in that role and be credible and be presentable. But she is such a great heel. It's like, why even bother going that route?
Well, it's WWE, so they're probably going to completely disagree with you and turn her face now. But like you said, I like the time that they gave this, and I think this is just, again, this is an introduction of Asuka slowly making her way to that women's title. She's laid the mark. She's got the first win over Alexa Bliss. It's a clean win, and I got nothing. I lost my train of thought there.
Bray Wyatt versus Apollo Crews. This was just to further along the Hardy storyline a little bit here. Wyatt wins with Sister Abigail after Dana Brooke is jumping on the apron and distracting.
Distraction. Too many distractions.
She's trying to distract and get the Titus Worldwide stuff over.
Worldwide?
But it's not working, and Bray Wyatt gets the win. Anyway, story here is Hardy coming on the screen afterwards and getting in Wyatt's head.
I am the omniscient ghost that haunts your dreams.
All around him.
I will delete you.
So many Hardys. And then he'll tell 2 friends, and then they'll tell 2 friends, and then they'll tell 2 friends, and then they'll tell 2 friends.
And so on.
And so on.
So I like they did something a little bit different this week. Again, it's the very slow build here between these two.
Yeah, they're dragging it out.
Are they taking this thing all the way to Mania, or are we going to actually... that's what it feels like. I don't feel like we're getting a singles match anytime on Raw between these two. We'll probably
You
get...
think we'll get something at Rumble?
I think we'll get an interaction between the two in the Rumble, but not a match, not a singles one-on-one match at the event. I mean, there's just too much going on between... I mean, we're going to have the finals for the U.S. title tournament. We have the Brock match. We've got the AJ match, plus the 2 Rumbles. Each Rumble will theoretically be over an hour, with both matches having 30-plus people in it, or 30 people in it for each match. So we've already got a stacked card, so I don't think we'll get that singles match there. I believe is the next pay-per-view after that is
Elimination?
Is it a Smackdown pay? No, that's a Raw one. So they could do a
Payback, I think.
Well, they are doing Elimination Chamber. But I think that's later, I think.
February,
I don't have my damn whiteboard updated, so I just sound like a fucking idiot over here. But
I think they could extend it, though, because, when all this shit finally started, it started being the holiday season, so less people are distracted.
Well, and let's face it, it's WWE, so the first match is going to have bullshit. So, I mean, there's that.
And then right now you got college playoffs going on, and in a couple of weeks we got NFL playoffs going on. So
it's
like,
WrestleMania season.
It's
January.
WrestleMania season, but we got the Rumble coming up.
It will be Elimination Chamber.
It's something that's so fucking silly, though.
So Elimination Chamber's the next Raw one. But is there a SmackDown
There's a
one?
Fastlane.
Okay, so we do have one.
We're on the Fastlane.
But we just have one pay-per-view for each brand before WrestleMania after the Royal Rumble.
I just found out NXT TakeOver's on my birthday this year. That's pretty exciting.
That's the day before the Rumble, correct? Or are you thinking the WrestleMania one?
WrestleMania.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
I'm glad they can extend it though, because it's two guys that can kind of do some silly shit a little bit and get those internet clicks and those internet views and use that to their advantage. And then with Bray Wyatt, they can kind of build him up a little bit, get these wins a little bit because he's just losing constantly. So why do I want to see a guy that's fucking losing all the time go against the woken Matt Hardy that we've all been fucking clamoring for since they came back?
All right, we had Braun Strowman versus it was supposed to be it was Rhino, and then eventually Slater just kind of got involved.
You're either gonna stand on the floor and shut your mouth, you're to get in this ring and get these hands like your partner.
Oh damn!
I liked Michael Cole being confused. Well, I guess he's just in the match now. The referee's not disqualifying anybody. It was kind of weird. He's just all of a sudden in the match. Rhino just beats Strowman beats Rhino anyway.
You're gonna question Strowman. He
hits like 5 or 6 running power slams on both of those guys because the crowd just won't shut up about the one more time stuff.
Happy to oblige.
Strowman over as hell. We had the Kane situation backstage where he's trying to convince Clinton Dix that he wants Clinton Dix. Kane's trying to convince Strowman to team up with him. Of course, that didn't happen. So Kane interrupts. Not interrupts, but goes out and confronts Brock Lesnar later in the show. Choke slams him, but then Brock clotheslines him out of the ring. Does the Undertaker sit up or whatever? Takes him out. They do the pull apart there. So nice little tension pieces between all three guys going into the match. So fun stuff.
Of course, bring out the locker room up apart.
Yeah, the locker room. You got fucking.
Well, when Brock Lesnar sits up like that again, it's only happened one other time. They did that fucking stupid laugh at each other, Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. And every time he does it now, I can't not picture that. And yeah, fuck the locker room shit. I'm over that.
So you're saying we've too many pull apart brawls now. Too many times is not Zack Ryder, but the other one coming out and
Clinton Dix.
Yeah, Clinton Dix out there and Titus Worldwide and everybody. Yeah.
It's just. When it's for Lesnar every fucking time, come on.
All right, we're being very sour. We're gonna.
Don't you dare be sour.
We're gonna move on.
You done flapped the wrong jack, sucker.
Oh my god! So I think it was last week's episode where I laughed that British people were laughing at the phrase flapjacks. Yeah, I had some friends over the other day. They were totally calling them flapjacks. Made my day even more. I was like, yes, there are people that call it flapjacks.
We talked
sidebar.
We pretty much talked about the Golddust joining Cedric Alexander.
Golddust, future champion.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Weird question: is Golddust a cruiserweight?
I'm not bad. Purple and gold.
Him on 205 Live now. I didn't see 205 Live this week. Anybody else?
I just know that TJP returned.
I did see that TJP is back and Golddust is on there. So run, don't walk to 205 Live, everybody. Elias and the Miz Taraj versus the finally together Balor Club. Finn Balor teaming up with Anderson and Gallows. Felt good. It was a nice little win for them on TV. I like them hitting the Magic Killer and then doing double dives and then Finn hitting the coup de grace to get the win. It was just a nice feel-good moment. I liked Finn Balor bringing up the fact that he was the first ever Universal Champion and he never got his rematch and that he never lost. So kind of keeping that idea alive in everybody's head is cool to me. So, all right, that's pretty much Raw. Let's get into some SmackDown, shall we?
Change the subject.
SmackDown Live.
SmackDown Live.
I can be a superhero.
I'm going to make this a tag team match.
Sigma.
I'm gonna have to remove the Zigman from because he's been gone from SmackDown.
We don't deserve him.
He lost.
Nope,
We don't deserve him. We've got the U.S. title tournament. Finally, we got some brackets revealed for the U.S. title tournament after last week's SmackDown. We found out we got the brackets, and then we found out who was going to be in it, and even Xavier Woods was surprised to find out that he was going to be in the United States title.
I'm in the bracket to become U.S. champ. I didn't even know. U.S. champ. U.S. champ. U.S. champ. U.S. champ. U.S. champ. U.S. champ. U.S.
So this week we had Xavier Woods taking on Aiden English. We had a very fun introduction of Aiden English from Rusev, his partner. Happy Rusev Day, everybody.
Happy Rusev Day.
Mark your calendar, save your dates.
This is your new champion of the United States. He's so tall, he'll make Woods pay. For Aiden English brings a victory to the Rusev Day!
I'm going off on a wild limb like Taco with his Jinder Mahal call. I think Rusev is going to win the Rumble.
Awesome.
I would not be mad at that.
First, he has to enter himself into the Rumble, but there's plenty of time for that. Although they are in the tag team.
That's the part that I don't want him taken out just because Aiden English.
So Xavier Woods did beat English here, so it will be Jinder versus Xavier Woods at some point in the future. So unfortunately, it looks like Jinder probably getting a win there. I like that they're stretching this tournament out, and the finals are going to be at the Royal Rumble. Next week, we got Zack Ryder versus Mojo Rawley. They've done a good job building that up over the past couple of months, and
Mojo with another good promo too on over Zack Ryder, just calling him out, saying that he's just re-champ basically. It was just
I'm a serious competitor.
Yeah.
Well,
I like this side of Mojo right now, the serious side, because he has that meathead I'm gonna fuck you up look,
and he needed something opposite from that crazy shit he was doing before.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, you're trying too hard.
You just ain't hype. I'll say this: I do like the actual randomness, minus the Mojo and Zach match. I do like the randomness of the people that are kind of in this match. It's enjoyable.
Well, after Woods got announced, it's like, dude, I want him to win this.
Right?
Like,
I know.
I want him to win so bad.
Because if he wins, the entire New Day wins and becomes the WWE United States champion. I just like the idea of one of the New Day having a singles title. We've talked about that as being something different for New Day with one of them individually going for a singles championship. It feels new and fresh. As opposed to, it looks like this thing's going to end up with Bobby Roode and Jinder Mahal possibly, because Bobby Roode's going to have to face the winner of Mojo and Zack Ryder.
No, it's going to be Xavier Woods and Zack Ryder.
So I guess we'll see. But I'm not excited for Jinder versus Bobby Roode. But we'll see how it goes. But let's fucking Xavier Woods in there. That'd be awesome. That would be great. The story of SmackDown this week was, of course, AJ versus Sami Zayn in the main event, and boy, did this thing get convoluted on the way there.
Crap.
So it was the story of last week, and the match versus Kevin Owens and all the interference. Well, they tried to eject Sami Zayn, and so this week, instead of just banning everybody from ringside, let's bring everybody to ringside.
Totally gonna work.
So why wouldn't this work? Of course, why wouldn't this work? So again, more distractions.
Too many distractions.
So they try to eject Sami Zayn. So Daniel Bryan tries to eject Shane McMahon because he shoved, it was Kevin Owens. Because he shoved Kevin Owens after Kevin Owens kind of got involved or whatever with distracting the referee.
Too many distractions.
Oh, the double ejection leads to the double distraction. Sami Zayn hits the Helluva kick, and then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have victories over AJ Styles. I thought that it was a bit odd after the match that AJ's like, you know what? Screw it. You guys want to argue like 12-year-olds? Give me a handicap match. Give me them both in a handicap match. Daniel Bryan makes the match for the championship at the Royal Rumble, and then AJ looks disappointed or discouraged in some way. Shouldn't he be excited that he got the match that he wanted, or did AJ just want to face the two of them on SmackDown next week and did not want to have?
Just blew his wad.
Yeah. See, I liked AJ saying just like, give me both of them. I'll whoop both of their asses.
Yeah,
like,
my only problem was with his reaction after Daniel made the match. He should be excited.
Well, it also makes sense when it's like, well, okay, Royal Rumble, your title's on the line. It's like, no, that's not what I fucking said. But it also is it's also like being on Dan and Bryan's side too. He's also taking, that sounds like a great match. Let's do this instead. Like, he's done with everyone though. So the land of opportunity, and like you said earlier, though, it's kind of getting that heat a little bit on Bryan. I just hope we don't get a storyline we just saw with Kevin Owens this whole year with Jericho. Like, it's kind of what it seems like it's becoming again.
Yeah.
Did anybody else find it weird in the Sammy and Kevin promo that Kevin Owens used the word vessel?
That didn't bother me.
I'm looking way too into it. I'm just saying, like, the word vessel is not something that
What does that mean?
would pop up in Kevin Owens. I mean, Matt Hardy is a vessel.
I I don't get it.
We had the Riot Squad taking on the Welcoming Committee. They're still pounding this Welcoming Committee into my. I'm sorry. I'm negative. I'm just.
Don't you dare be sour.
This Welcoming Committee thing does nothing for me.
I'm glad they're acknowledging it because it's like these.
That's true.
The Riot Squad's coming in. They're running a muckus, and then you got
when everybody does it.
Then you got the ladies coming out, and they're like, "No, stop it with your fucking bullshit." Well, okay, we already know they were a team like 6 months ago, so acknowledge that. So I'm glad they did acknowledge that. Like, you know what? We're the fucking Welcoming Committee, and we're not tolerating this shit.
Well, I did like that the Riot Squad got the win. It was Sarah Logan getting the win over of all people. With a cartwheel knee. So an interesting finisher there from Sarah Logan.
Though.
What's up with Sarah Logan's eye makeup and that weird squirrely shit she had going on? Like super dark but kind of pointy, but I don't know.
I kind of liked it
It was
more
different.
this
It was
week.
different.
Yeah, it's
Kind of like wild nature girl.
a little bit, yeah. She's still fresh,
She hunts for her
there,
meat with her bare hands.
She's getting developing that image now.
So again, it was the same thing after the match. We got people coming out and confronting. It was the big return of Becky Lynch. I was very excited to see Becky Lynch back in the mix.
Yeah.
So they had the stand. The baby faces stand tall after the brawl between.
Hey Joe,
those
straight
two.
fire.
Yeah, Joe's not the biggest fan of Becky Lynch, but I did want to talk about this. So
her character.
I've got the two Royal Rumble entrants as of this up to this point in front of me. So far for the men's Royal Rumble, we've only got 6. For the women's, we're up to 14 already.
Nice.
It's pretty obvious who's going to be
That's
in
true.
it.
It's pretty much everybody, and then some surprises for the women's side of the roster. So there is that. We did have Baron Corbin declaring himself ready for the Royal Rumble with the longest awkward stare to start off the
I liked
promo.
it though. Like it was just super intense. It's like because he should be pissed right now.
What else?
No, he should be
He's a
pissed right now.
good-looking
Like
dude.
he just lost the United States title. He's not even in the fucking bracket. Like, where's his rematch?
Other stuff on the show, of course, Benjamin and Gable got their chance for the tag team championships versus the Usos. I could see people being critical of this match because it was a title match. It was in a big spot, but they did the weird quick finish early on where it looked like the Benjamin and Gable won the match, but it was the illegal men. Mm-hmm. And then the other referee came out and they corrected course. It's very interesting. These damn
they're very choosy.
Okay. I want to get into the referee situation here because you got the situation that's going on here, all the insane booking going on in the main event with the referee. The referees have been looking pretty stupid lately with the one, especially last week when the referee ejects Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon is out there. And meanwhile, there's a pin going on behind the referee and the referee's just sticking his head out from underneath the rope, staring at Shane, ejecting somebody from the ring. Same thing this week. The referee's distracted by all the shenanigans going on.
This week I had like
Too many distractions.
I had to rewind this shit with fucking Owens and Shane and the whole distraction situation. It actually does make sense a little bit because the ref falls out of the ring to be avoided by getting hit by AJ Styles.
Yeah, I did like that.
So that was a good spot. But that's when Kevin Owens heelness was coming in. Like, oh, you okay? How's your foot? How's your leg? How you doing? And he's blocking the ref from going in the ring. And that's when Shane McMahon is trying to get in his way. And that's when Daniel Bryan's like, what do you fucking know? Why are you ejecting him? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. So it starts that heat a little bit.
I also liked that spot because you don't see it ever. Which is
so that's why I want to defend that spot a little bit. Like, it did make sense. It just took me a few
But
rewinds.
it's also why it gets heat with me because it's like, this guy's like the senior Mike Chioda, the senior referee. He's never had to stumble out of the ring before to avoid a collision. Why didn't he just move to the left or right like he always does? Why is this at the one time that he gets knocked out of the ring? So, you know what I'm saying?
But it wasn't like he was knocked out and he was taken out for some time. No, he got right back in his feet, trying to run in the match, and that's when Kevin Owens is like, "Oh, hi, let's dance."
And
so,
I'm not even necessarily negative on the one spot. My whole point is I thought it was funny that they tried to save face in this tag match by having having the fucked finish, and then they come out and correct course because, I want to, like Corey Graves on commentary is like, we got to commend these referees for making the right decision and making the right call finally. I just thought it was a funny psychology when the referees in the main events the last 2 weeks, this week and last week, have kind of looked like fools.
Oh, yeah.
So, where they do get it right once in a while. So, again, I just thought it was funny.
I hope with this match, though, like, it was a fun match. It's just they cut to a commercial and then they come back and then that false finish happens. So you're like, oh, fuck, really? And then the match continues and then it ends right away. So you're very like in, out, in, out, in, out. And it's like, what? But I hope this leads up to like a tornado tag match where it's just all four guys going at it.
Right.
That's the way to go with these guys. Because I do see Gable and Benjamin walking off the tag champs. I want them to on a 1-on-1 match or 2-on-2 match essentially with the Usos, and that would be a great way to do it.
All right, the only other thing from SmackDown that I thought was notable, they showed Karl Malone at ringside and he threw up the diamond cutter. I didn't see this clip, but apparently he had a little fun after SmackDown went off the air. Did either of you get a chance?
I think it was
Bobby Roode,
Nakamura, and AJ Styles, and they're all stone coning water bottles.
Okay.
So cute. It was neat.
Fun. I thought he might have got in and hit somebody with the diamond cutter.
Yeah, but I will say this, when he got in the ring and was standing next to Bobby Roode, he's fucking gigantic.
Yeah, he is.
Well, he's a big old NBA player from back in the day. So.
Fuck. He's the mailman.
There's that.
I wasn't sure if it was Karl Malone or Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, that's pretty much going to do it for this week on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Again, check out Strong Honor. The last 2 weeks we preview Wrestle-Kingdom. Got our predictions out there for last week, so check those out. StrongHonor.com, BestProWrestlingPodcast.com. Follow this show at BPW Podcast on Twitter, Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you're new to the show, again, thank you for checking us out. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you can rate, review. Make sure you share the podcast and tell some friends about it and spread the word that we are the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. I think that's follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Make sure you check out sltdwrestling.com, a really fun website with fan articles and fantasy leagues, predictions league.
So excited for that to start up.
Get it! Yeah. You got to get in now at the beginning of the year so that you're in the running all year for the predictions league. So check out sltdwrestling.com. That's single leg takedown wrestling with the fundamentals. Ooh. And then that's pretty much it for me. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Snapchat, Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow me, Joe, at JoeBBWP. That's at Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Find all of those links in the description for the show and check out all of that stuff. And thanks for checking out the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Bye.
Peace.
Listen up, wrestling fans. You done flat the wrong jack, sucker!
How you doing?
Weird question. Is Nia Jax a cruiserweight?
No, you fool!
Larson.
It's Rusev Day!
All right, well, that's going to pretty much do it for this week. You got to, what happened to my music here? What's going on here?
You got to push the button.
I hit the button. It's just really freaking quiet.
God, did none of us watch Ring of Honor?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but thanks.
Damn!
We're going to mark for edit there.